There's two.
I know.
I just sent it this morning.
Okay.
Sanitary,
Building inspection.
no, and then building maintenance.
Oh, building maintenance.
Yeah.
I thought it was building inspection.
Yeah, all the information you sent us this morning,
Okay, I'll look at it. That's fine.
legitimate, and legal's been counsel on both
Sure.
of them, so.
Okay. Good to know. Commissioner Malloy's running 10 minutes late.
Okay, I wasn't sure if,
Still late.
Okay, I will fix that.
I'm sure Auditor Yoder.
Okay.
I just have to know.
What time? Morning?
Yeah, when, after, no, you sent the, after,
Oh,
I
okay.
opened,
Okay.
I opened what you sent, and I was looking at it.
Okay, thank
So
you.
it was-
I'll fix that. I will fix
In about 10 minutes, he's running a little late.
that. Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You see that email I sent this morning, Commissioner?
I didn't yet, no.
The EPA requires at least two of you to go through 3 hours of training regarding,
That's a new standard or whatever?
yeah, for us to get principal forgiveness.
Okay.
2 courses, one is called Utility Management for Local Officials,
Okay.
the other one is called Financial Management for Local Officials. And each course is about 90 minutes, but you can do it online.
Send me the link.
Yeah, I was gonna, I sent you an email, I
Or
told
can
you,
you send it
I'll
to-
put together a cheat sheet,
Alan?
how to get logged on, how
I
to
was
do
gonna say,
all
lucky
that.
you, you got all this stuff in one
I know.
time.
I'm sorry, no, not Alan.
Yeah.
You can send me whatever, yeah.
Yeah, well,
When
yeah,
does it need to
check
be?
your emails.
When
Well,
does it-
that I haven't found out yet either, that's what I wrote in here, I said, I'll look into this, put together instructions,
Okay,
and determine a deadline for completion, so.
okay.
But it's, that training's worth over $2.5 million just
Oh,
for the
no,
state
yeah.
road project, so.
Fine, he's gonna be here, yeah, he's running a little late.
Yes, been very stressful at my house.
How you doing? Oh, I can.
Yeah, he's talking about my husband, with football, like, if we don't have enough going on.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I think you're gonna be fine.
Yeah,
It
it is.
Cause what they had last year.
We only won 3 games in the past 4 years,
Always try.
like literally.
You lose 5 pounds and you gain 4. Yeah, well, that's for sure. It needs to be 100.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If you lose 100, it should be 100.
Yeah.
Right.
But I still had a couple that straggled in, but I think we probably should, after a certain speak, you know.
Well, I will tell her that
But
it's
it's a third of the
Yeah.
great.
which they haven't.
Okay, so I'll send it to her, I'll tell her to do it.
Or you might,
Or,
I mean,
not closer, I
cause I
met
was
somebody
just
who
one
was
of
from
my.
Thurston,
Yeah.
and she moved to Virginia for a while. Significant other, that apparently hasn't worked out, and she's moved back.
So he was.
So she's kind of
Okay,
dealing
it was
with
somebody
like,
else.
Yeah.
so she's worked for the city of Portland, she's had those kind of jobs before, and, she actually applied at the law library.
Okay.
But I know that we're kind of separate from them, she asked if I, she said it's weird because it's our building, but they're not really part of our government
Right.
stuff. So I don't really know, like, their process or any of that. I did say I would ask for her.
Okay.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
I told her, position, ideal position that come up, and I thought, even though that's really hard, as far as the pay,
I didn't.
fine,
Mhm.
but it's a door, a split
Right.
door, then you get all the,
No,
so, the insurance is great. She's a single mom with a teenager, so
no problem.
I'll tell her to go ahead and apply, and if anything else comes up, as I get those from Becky, I'll send them to her.
Moving forward with the project, eat and shoot.
Uh-oh.
We're doing all the green, you're doing all the black.
For paving?
Yeah,
Okay.
and now they'll even do this whole part in here.
Really?
Yeah.
Which road is that? Eaton.
Eaton.
Okay.
They apparently got in touch with Pollard. They're paying for that section there.
What's this
So
road?
the whole neighborhood's gonna be sewer with all
That's
new,
a paper street, so it doesn't even,
I can see driveways there. It's
Oh,
in good
maybe-
shape, I don't know.
maybe it is, I don't.
I think that's in the city of Niles. That's in the city.
Okay.
Good deal.
Yeah, oh,
And it only cost us, on our contract, an extra $20,000 or so.
right.
Because we were gonna have to go over all those road cuts and where that sewers are down the middle of the street and pave over all those little strip sections
Oh,
everywhere, and just to do the entire thing.
We won't have to worry about that neighborhood for 20 years.
Yeah,
Should be
all new
nice.
sewer, all new roads.
Yeah.
Can't complain, they're being
There's one
neglected
little-
over there.
I think
One
it's
little
this spring.
section here, but
I'm losing my voice again.
this house
So weird.
burned, there's only one house there and it burned down.
I know, they're so bad, it's my eyes,
Yeah.
my throat's dry.
This is forest, right?
Had cold spoons on them.
But my eyes were itching like this morning, like the corners, I'm like,
Real nice.
Cold spoons.
People seem happy under there.
Right there, right on your
We get some
I guess
feedback,
'cause
like
she
the
doesn't have
residents
power
really
cord,
impressed
she's
with
gonna leave it.
Pollard and the way they communicate.
Oh my God.
They're just
Whatever.
very happy.
Yeah, they don't
I
start
just
paying
went
the bill
to
yet,
eat
so.
when I was over there.
Well, they know it's coming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because things are starting to
We
wither.
had a good public hearing, we had 100%,
We'll see what this guy, I forget his name, but what he owns a bunch of.
Oh, that's that Dean Rumbaugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we put in the 28
But she said she
new
has a
connections
power
for
cord
him,
that
yeah.
works.
And so maybe he
Okay.
parcels that off and gets some
Well, and
structures built there, that'd be
Yeah.
really nice.
Yeah.
that's what she said, that it was.
I was just gonna do that part of Eaton, and, cause they just did North Road, which looks really nice.
Okay. All right,
Well,
and that's supposed to be, next week, they're putting down all the paving.
So is the project, just, everything's done with the sewer, right?
The pump station, yeah, the pump station over here, where is it at? I think it's at here.
I intend to
That's our
run,
problem.
That's not done yet.
however, this.
So no sewage running?
Got in my way.
But that should be finished in the next couple of weeks.
Okay. How about?
We'll still be waiting for the emergency generator,
I'll do that too.
but that was, that
Yeah.
order, the lead time went out like 50.
I'll probably mention it too
So
in the
that's where we
future.
have put a plug,
Want to make sure.
put a plug-in electrical connection at the pump station. That way we don't have to have that backup generator.
And I forgot your lollipops, I was having printers. I
Even
actually,
Bauer was
I
bringing a
did
generator.
print, and apparently I do it a little too efficiently.
It'll be natural
I'm gonna
gas,
change it.
that I guess, in your generator.
So Becky, I love
no,
talking to Becky, and hopefully
pretty sure we got a,
straightened out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll have to check that to make sure.
So when,
Yeah, I don't think it's gas, because usually we're just using that fuel oil or diesel.
so you gotta make sure there's fuel oil there all the time.
Well, that's part of the, what our package plant crews do,
Nice.
you know, make sure.
Now, is service connections been started, or that'll be once?
No, we have to wait for the pump station to be up and running, because it all flows to the pump station. But we're getting closer.
Good. When that's starting the summer, remember exactly, maybe late spring, but it's
You're not.
pretty quick, really.
Yeah. I think we started it in March,
March?
yeah.
Okay.
Early spring.
Yeah.
I have something March.
More up to date.
And, James, So it's a lot of.
Wow.
That's a
Okay.
But
challenge,
that-
but I'm sure you
and
get
now,
there, you know,
the one
narrow
thing
the roads
down
are,
with them,
Yeah.
oh, it's just,
accounting is a little different, they all kind of understand it, I wanna make
not
sure
really
I've
have
already
any
talked to somebody about
traffic,
that.
you
Then
know,
obviously
all
our
are just
first
being
one is,
good,
we have to post,
good neighbors or
we
whatever.
have to go through the,
Yeah.
the process.
Yep.
Vacant lots,
And we'll
they're all
post it,
spread out,
but
they're not,
there's going to be a
no sardines in there,
over
that's
there
what,
that's just left open.
That's
that was always the difficulty
We
with
don't,
the project.
so those,
A lot of
AP
miles per
and
few
accounting
people.
are the
Right.
two places where I was really
We were
overstaffed.
getting stressed.
And it was
Yeah.
intentional overstaffing because we had people retiring.
Right.
And Steve was brought in actually a little
Yep.
bit early.
But it's
Um,
gonna get like little classes.
That's the position, and I need to look at the classifications of the positions, because
Still
they
running?
might not even have, I think that's the thing. I have to, just to look at,
Yeah.
and so I don't, I would have to think I think that's true. I don't think Kathy was at a different level.
Yeah, once you
That's
look
what
at
I was
after-
thinking, so I just wanna look at my list.
Yeah.
I have 40 people, I can't
Right up.
remember everything,
It is.
so, yeah, but it's actually really helpful that that's happening sooner rather than later, because I also need that money to create, if we're gonna have to create a second asymmetric position. I still need to get, there's a lot of things on the website that I have
Sure.
it, but it's written in lawyer's speak, so I need to look at it and get my clarify, what is it? I need clarification, I don't get it, and maybe even ask them those questions, but it was from Jason.
Okay.
So I have an opinion, I just need to look at it better.
Kinda,
I haven't really needed to deal with that,
Yeah.
I would
everything
think you wouldn't have to worry about traffic or.
but because what I wanna do with that is ultimately, we wanted to have two, but for she's close to retiring, so I wanna get a second one. The way it works somebody with state training and then work with the other staff, right? And so,
It's like a trainee.
yeah, it's a lot like what my son's actually doing with pharmacy tech. So, yeah, it's pharmacy, the state, I found out more about pharmacy tech than I ever thought I needed to learn, because my son's but they have,
I've had,
there's 4 different pharmacy tech.
Oh, yeah.
Was that your choice, or did the Air Force make you do that?
No, I was tracking cross
Like a
country.
Yeah.
And then there's a little bit more that you can do, certified techs can work in hospitals and do.
I don't know if you'd wanna start running now,
Okay.
that's
So-
I'm too old.
Yeah.
I'm afraid I run around the block and get
Hopefully,
hard.
like it sometimes, and it's kind of fun for me, my dad was
Yeah.
so it's kind of like, I was like showing him stuff that my dad that I had.
Well, they've been running through the years.
How different it is.
I know, that was the
What's that?
But anyway, so yeah, it's similar to that,
Okay.
sort of on the job kind of thing, but you have to
Okay, all right.
training while you do it,
But they
and
go
we're
out
all
and
super
run
learning.
3 miles,
So,
and if they need to walk
the
that
other thing we want to do over there is also, once the weather cools down a little bit and we can't be out as much, we wanna work on
I know.
taking this process to.
I think about Bob Safaro, and
Back it up a
if
little
he
bit.
didn't,
that'd be good.
he'd probably
So we
still be
kinda
alive.
have, we wanna do the tech part of it first and then do the higher part probably.
Yeah, that's good.
Or, and so,
Very good.
but that's, yeah, so we definitely, oh yeah, I have so many people who go, you know, such and such a gas station.
Found another job,
And I'm like,
pay 'em more.
one
That
guy,
takes- yeah,
I got
one
guy.
person,
And
yeah,
I was like,
for an entire-
well, yeah, and it's one of those,
So that's
you know,
around where you,
I have
I
great
mean,
staff,
people live
but
in Youngstown.
I have places where I'm understaffed,
Right.
which is that real estate big time. You know, we've got 2.5 appraisers doing the work, what 4 were doing before, and before COVID, and
Whether it's you or someone else.
That's true.
so we're definitely gonna add a position there. That's easier though, because real estate.
Yeah.
Not much, man, what's up?
I don't know why.
I talked to him about it, he said,
I have no.
treated me great, he was like, there is nothing that I would,
We're on it.
For an email.
I don't realize, and he said, I'm not even, I'm asking you.
Oh, yeah. I grew up right across the street from
Oh,
That's what ours is the money, the issue in every department.
Well, and, I mean, I don't know how you.
Okay, I've heard, he's been
Well,
through.
really, I mean, I called.
I wasn't.
You better not. They better knock that off.
Hi, Commissioner.
And they literally. Every call was their call. I don't know much about that. I can't believe what I heard.
They don't realize.
Yeah, you can.
Without you.
Oh,
Yeah, well, I mean, that's an idea.
I got you.
Well,
Both did,
you're right.
we'd have to reduce.
Yeah. Yep.
But and that's where,
If you're
Right.
20, girlfriend and a kid, or a kid.
Wait for Lisa to get back, we'll get started. Sorry I'm late, the planning commission went a little bit late. They're honoring Mr. Pappas for his retirement.
Was he on the planning commission?
No, they, do their something good reward or something.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Yeah. Mhm.
Because I would kind of be in my own little.
Good morning.
Up in the office, you didn't.
Yeah,
Grab yours.
I did not.
I'll grab it.
I don't know, probably not.
I don't know what the outcome
Yeah. It's gonna get worse before it gets better.
is.
Commissioner Malloy, I have a meeting that a luncheon that I have to go to, so at the end of the agenda, if we could do the ARPA first, I would
Yes,
appreciate it. Thank you.
absolutely, absolutely. Did you look up the one ARPA item we talked about yesterday?
Which one was that? I'm sorry. Oh, Bristol. No, I didn't yet. I'm sorry. I will, and I'll write myself a note. I will be back in the office later, so I'll text you about that.
I didn't know it was on the spreadsheet.
It wouldn't, I have, the one I have, the one I have today is just the allocated one.
Gotcha.
We didn't do, and we'll talk about it, but we didn't do another spreadsheet.
Just check on that and send me a note so I get.
I will. I apologize. It's had a busy day in the office this morning, so.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Again, I apologize I'm late, the planning commission. This is our workshop for September 12th. And, clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Cantala Mesa,
Here.
Commissioner Malloy,
Here.
Commissioner Frenchco.
Okay, dispense with reading of the minutes, approve the bills. Get to number 3, additional appropriations.
Okay.
NeoCap.
NeoCap is an addendum to a community-based correctional facility subsidy grant. The Mental Health Board is an additional community mental health grants and programs for renovating the property for the 24/7 crisis center. And I believe that there's correspondence on that was sent to you. We send the whole package now to everybody, everything that I have, you guys have.
Okay.
We send it to the agenda as well as to each of you. So if you have questions on all the supporting documentation is with that. The Board of Health is an enhanced, operations grant. And then just so you know, all 3 of the first ones that I just talked about are also additional estimated resources. So they changed our estimated resources and they are, covered in number 5, I think. Is that correct?
Gotcha.
Yes, number 5. So I've covered 5 as well as 3 then. The sheriff is, to lease a money counting machine for tag, and then, the Board of Elections is, the increase is requested for computer services and support, and the, meeting minutes from that board meeting are also attached to what we emailed to you,
Okay.
right? Going down to the next one, the transfer appropriations, the first one is domestic relations juvenile court, and once again, these are monies that's already been appropriated in a fund, but we're moving it from one line item to another. So for the domestic relations in juvenile court, it was the transfer so that they could get monitors for e-filing. The next one on your list actually says sanitary engineers on the agenda, but it's, soil conservation, and Lisa is aware of it and is going to, fix that for us. And that's to purchase the battery backup surge protectors, and I think the letter with that is also in the packet that was emailed to you. And I will let Bob handle sanitary engineers.
Thank you. The first one is $1,000 for Ohio's Utility Protection Services, which is the call before you dig. We need a little more money to get through the end of the year. We pay them monthly, so that was for $1,000. The next one for $1,000 is additional monies for operational supplies at our Vienna office. And both of those transfers came from our workers' comp appropriation. In our Mineral Ridge Water District, we had a negative balance, so we're increasing our, lease excavating appropriation. They do a lot of work for us for repairs. We're increasing that by $15,000.
Very good, and
We've already covered
I
them.
don't know if I remember or not, but that was Bob Mariano
Right.
from sanitary engineer.
And I don't think I said my name when I talked before. Martha Yoder, Trumbull County Auditor. I covered item 3 and part of item 4. I also covered 5 within 3 because the 3 of those, additional appropriations, required an amended certificate, for revenue, of estimated revenue. Number 6 is to establish the renaming of Fund 957 to Integrated Harm Reduction Grant for use by the Trumbull County Combined Health. The Trumbull County Combined Health District is receiving funds from the Ohio Department of Health totaling $151,000 for use and funding in this program. And it's just, this was the old fund for 957 was something related to COVID, so they don't need that fund anymore, the fund number, so they're just renaming it to use for this.
Gotcha. Very good. Number 7, authorize Board of Trumbull County Commissioners clerk to advertise for letters of interest for engineering services for the 2024 through 2026 Trumbull County Annual Bridge Inspection Program for recommendation of the county engineer.
Stephen Gerber with the engineer's office. Do you have any questions on that item, commissioners?
This is something we do every 2 years.
Every couple of years, depending upon how the contract, I guess, is signed when we do that. So we're currently with MS Consultants, and, that was through 23, so we have to get new letters of interest moving forward here.
Gotcha. Okay, number 8, approve change order number 1, final with Gorilla Contractors, for the construction of Part 1 plus alternative, True First, 2021 Countywide Road Improvement Project. Change order number 1 resulted in a decrease of $142,619 to the contract. Change order is recommended by Trumbull County Engineer to adjust the contract to reflect the final quantities of this project. Revised contract will be 1.2771340 OPWC grant, and it lists all the, 2022 road improvements, that were done. So we actually saved $142,000.
Correct, and that's just on the quantities that were used on all those projects. And if I could point out something to Lisa, that we missed one correction, that first TRU first, where it says 2021,
Yeah,
that should be 2022.
okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Number 9, to award the only bid submitted by U.S. Bridge, Division of Ohio Bridge Corps, for Trumbull County's 2022 Bridge Rehab Program. The program consists of purchase of the steel for the superstructures for the Brookfield Number 2B, Brockway Sharon Road, Orangeville Village, Hayes Orangeville Road, and warrant number 12, Kibler Toot Road Bridges in the amount of $361,814, partially funded by grant, and no general funds required. The, engineer's estimate was $341,000, and the bid came in at $361,000, but it was the only bid.
Correct, and just to point out too, that the plans for these bridges were done in-house, and we're gonna do the, all the work in-house as well with our crews. This, award is for the steel, for the deck, the beams, and for the rails.
Gotcha. And this is something I imagine will be next year, next spring?
They're gonna, I think they're starting the, I don't know the order of them, I think they're doing the Warren, oh no, I can't see the number on here. That might be a different bridge. I know they're doing one of them this year,
Okay.
so I'm not sure which one.
There's a Warren number 12, Kibler Toot, is that the one you were?
No, 'cause
Okay.
there's another Warren one on, right around the corner from Kibler Toot. I'm drawing a blank on the name.
That's okay.
But that, I know they're doing that one too.
Number 10, concur with Trumbull County Engineer to grant hauling permit to Jarrow Transportation. Been there, done that a million times.
Yep, it's a routine, renewal for steel coils for Jarrow.
Okay, and then right-of-way permit for Dominion East Ohio, Northeast Ohio Natural Gas Corps, and then special enter supplier fleet permit for Leaf Flow Farms and Wim Farms. Standard.
Yep, all routine permits.
13, authorize Board of Trumbull County Commissioners to join with Trumbull County Prosecuting Attorney to file an application with the Court of Common Pleas, for the appointment of Matthew Blair as legal counsel for Board of Trumbull County Commissioners and the Trumbull County Sanitary Engineers Department for the purpose of collecting unpaid assessment bills owed by customers and or ratepayers to the Sanitary Engineers Department. He's already on with the sanitary engineers and be at no additional cost to the county. How many, unpaid bills do we have, just ballpark?
Okay.
Attorney Matt Blair, Attorney Sears. I sent you a memo on this, we have approximately 37,000 in unpaid bills, just the routine stuff, then we have another couple of significant issues that we have.
Okay.
But, cost of all of the, letters, everything. Send a couple more letters and then probably this year.
Okay.
Gary Newbrow, sanitary engineer. My understanding, Matt, the majority of this isn't actually from our water and sewer customers. This is more from, like, people hitting our fire hydrants, one of the drain layers going out and damaging part of one of our main interceptor sewer lines. It's those sort of things. It's not,
Okay.
it's
Not
not,
a residential customer
it's
that's paying on their bill.
not a lot of it is delinquent water and sewer bills.
Okay.
That's correct. Most of it is from accidents and from contractors who are working on. We're just trying to collect.
Very good.
A lot of times insurance will pay. You have to take it to the location.
Number 14, accept the resignation of Mr. Gino Chicolo from his position as, here we go, Mr. Chicolo's back.
Yeah.
For the last
Accept the
time.
resignation of Mr. Gino Chicolo from his position of TV Inspector Grounding Assistant with Trumbull County Engineers, effective September 22nd, 23rd. Say it ain't so. Mr. Chicolo's resignation letters are recorded in the Journal for record purposes. Where'd he go now?
Bob Mariano, sanitary engineers, he's gonna go work for Boardman Township.
Okay.
Doing roughly the same type of work, they just pay more money.
Well,
And
There's always hope he comes back, and we have another journal entry from Mr. Chiplow reestablishing employment, working his way back up the ranks again.
We'll have Maddle in the next week or so, we'll go do a exit interview with him. I did talk to Gino yesterday, and he actually apologized for leaving. He said it's been a great job, he has nothing but positive things to say about Trumbull County, but he said when he looks at his bank account, it just makes sense for him to work closer to home and make more money.
Well, Scotts County, a lot of paper and journal entries too, over the last 7 months, but we wish him the best of luck, and he will be missed. That he's in the, Journal Entry Hall of Fame here in Trumbull County. Number 15, to approve the grant agreement addendum for the fiscal years 2024 and 2025 Community-Based Corrections Program Subsidy Grant Agreement, CCA 2.0, in the amount of $65,896, increasing the total amount of the grant agreement from 2.5 to 2.6, recommendation of the County Adult Probation Department. Right, that's money coming in with the grant,
They may be on the line. I'm not sure.
okay?
Anyone on the line from adult probation?
Star 6 if you are. Still feel like we should have Gino on the line just to say goodbye in person.
Right.
Yeah, so in person, I hope he still remembers.
Never really goodbye, though.
Hope he remembers everything. Christmas
No.
cards and-
There's still time.
Right. In this case, there's still time. All right, number 16, authorize the Trumbull County Planning Commission Director, Julie Green, to prepare and submit the Ohio Water Pollution Control Loan Fund Program Year 2024 HSTS project nomination application forms to Ohio EPA that are required to receive funding through the Home Sewage Treatment System Reserve Fund, and authorize Denny Malloy, President of the Board of Trumbull County Commissioners, to execute all documents. Excuse me. Nick, Julie?
Nick Coggin, Planning Commission. This is the home sewage treatment system. This helps people replace their existing septic tanks or tie into sanitary sewer. This is an annual grant that our office has gone after. So we're currently closing out 2022. 2024 is the application process. So this is the permission to go after the application for the next year's grant.
Okay. 17, award price proposal and enter an agreement with MS Consultants to provide professional engineering services as detailed in the attached exhibits for the purpose of conducting certain floodplain-related studies and reports as required by FEMA for properties found to be non-compliant with the requirements of the National Flood Insurance Program in accordance with Trumbull County Special Purpose Flood Damage Reduction Regulations in the amount of $267,383, and authorize Board of Trumbull County Commissioners to enter into, sign, and execute an agreement and any and all related documents. Julie?
Julie Green, Director, Trumbull County Planning. I've been working with the ARP attorney, Jim Masaki, also our prosecutor's office, to make sure that the, agreement and/or, the content of the agreement is accurate, also Corsa. And so we have a final agreement template ready for signature. I am just waiting for the agreement to be signed by MS Consultants. MS Consultants was the only entity to submit a statement of qualification. And so typically we would rank these according to the criteria that's specified in the RFQ publication. But at that time when I believe you already approved, or selected them as the most qualified on,
April 19th.
thank you. So it's taken this long to, negotiate a scope of work and a price proposal. MS Consultants, had some staff changes and wanted more time, and obviously we had some staff changes. So we're finally at the point where we can address the audit findings from 2020 with these types of studies that FEMA is recommending. 3 of the 5 property owners have responded to our outreach efforts, 2 have not. We'll continue to reach out to them. The 2 that have not are if authorized or as authorized items under this contract. And so if we're not able to secure their, permission to participate in this, then we really can't help them. But this was an effort to help these property owners deal with something that was going to be very costly for them to address based on the findings from FEMA and in compliance with our national flood insurance.
I have a question. Martha Yoder, auditor. As I'm looking through my Arpa spreadsheet, and we have 400,000 allocated, is this going to be the total cost, or is there going to be more, or do we not know?
Well, there's a potential that once these studies are, completed, and Michael can speak to this a little bit more, then FEMA, and only then will FEMA offer any sort of remediation, or mitigation planning for these property owners to respond to, and he can talk a little bit more about that. And I think that was the intention, was to maybe help them with that as well.
Okay, so we'll leave that 400 for now, but I'd like to hear it too,
Yeah.
just
Mike
I think.
Swansky, Trumbull County Building Official. Yeah, I would leave the appropriated monies where they are,
Okay,
based upon this study. There may be other engineering fees such
Sure.
as surveying, field work. There may be other incidentals that may be incurred, which are additional costs of that professional services, not included in that number. So, yeah, I would stay pat where you're at with it.
thank you very much. I just want to make sure I keep my numbers accurate.
Yeah, and Julie Green, again, to add to what Mike said, there also may be, remedies for their living. I think that was also discussed.
Building alterations? We don't know what the outcome of the study is
Sure,
going to be.
got it. Thank you.
Number 18. Approve an agreement by and between Board of Trumbull County Commissioners by Trumbull County Planning Commission and the Regional Chamber, and authorize Julie Green, in accordance with Ohio Revised Code 30707B3, to execute the agreement for economic development services for the period commencing September 8, 2023, and continuing for a period of 12 months. Trumbull County share for the contract to be $45,000, paid in 4 equal installments of $11,250. The estimated cost of services during the term of this agreement is $125,000, and shall be shared between the county and the regional chamber.
Nick Coggins, Trumbull County Planning Commission. So the Planning Commission office is designated by the commissioners as your Office of Economic Development, by Ohio Revised Code 307.07. In accordance with that, we can contract to do some of our duties and powers, with the approval of the board. So this is requesting the approval of the board to renew an agreement, or extend an agreement with the chamber, who has been doing our business retention, expansion, and attraction efforts for the last 30 years. They also do Mahoning counties as well. They are also identified partners with the Team NEO, which is the Northeast Ohio faction of Jobs Ohio. Jobs Ohio is the state of Ohio's economic development office. So, this has been a good partnership. They're tied in from the state down, and they have done a fantastic job, especially for a $45,000 a year contract, which is, in my opinion, cheaper than what we could.
And when we think about, what the chamber does, Mauro Cancel Mesa County Commissioner, when we think about what they do, we often think of the attraction of new businesses and trying to get new businesses here, but what they do to retain businesses in the area too, just as equally as important. So, I know we have Shay here from the Regional Chamber. Shay, did you wanna mention anything?
Certainly, Commissioner Shea McMillan with the Regional Chamber. I did, provide, an annual
Thank you.
report on
Appreciate
all of our activities, from our business engagement to the projects we've managed. So you'll see the report is on the left. It details the, projects we did last year, those that we've completed this year. and those projects that we are still continuing to manage today. If you go further into the document, it will give you key details on additional economic initiatives that, we are working on. I don't wanna go too deep into it, and then you will also have a couple attachments, in the folder that outlines the, leads, our historical lead activity. This year, we are, at just under 80 leads for the year, and we've still got a few months left. We've never broken, 72 of the last 6 years. So it's really exciting to see all that, industrial activity in our market, especially when we're looking at some of the mega project stuff. A mega project is defined by, being a site that can support 1,000 jobs, or be 500 contiguous developable acres. We are very fortunate in our market to have the only mega site in Northeast Ohio, the old RG Steel property, that we've collaborated with the Port Authority on in, marketing and attracting, interested parties. So that what I think is a very effective job since the Port Authority has taken ownership of the property. Looking forward to continue to work on that. Just a couple projects to outline that we've participated on. The, new industrial park that was announced on the west side of Warren. We were grateful to do site selection for those folks, identify that property for them, and help them navigate some of the statements that they will be taking advantage of to make the project feasible. We've also participated, as a partner with, the county and the planning commission, on Site Ohio, which is, the state, site authentication program. It is a highly, graded and respected, program. There's currently 24 sites in the state that are authenticated. We currently do not have a site authenticated in Trumbull and Mahoning County, but we are working to change that. We have had 6 sites in Trumbull County be accepted into the program, and is currently undergoing an analysis that is estimated to be, $30,000 per site. And the state is paying for that, because we got it into the program. So an estimated value of $180,000, in technical analysis for, the 6 sites that were accepted. So those are just some highlights on some of the, work that myself and my team have been able to do over the last year. Be happy to answer any questions.
This 45,000, that's a slight increase over past years?
That is the same price it was last year. Sorry, Nick Coggins, Trumbull County Planning Commission. That $45,000 is the same price it was last year. Last year, there was an increase, from $26,000 to $45,000. And that $26,000 was the same price from 1997. It had never been increased until last year. So it did increase last year, and it is remaining the same this year. And I did want to mention, this is subject to review and approval of the prosecutor's office. We did get the review back with comments yesterday and added those comments and forwarded it to your office with the comments. So that has been reviewed already by the prosecutor's office, but I just wanted to make mention, it is reviewed and approved by the prosecutors.
Yeah, just one comment I'd like to make is, when I first got into this thing, Commissioner Yates, the one thing I realized is we got some of the best department heads, I mean, talent beyond belief. But when I meet with the people from the Port Authority, from Eastgate, from the Chamber, I'm blown away at the professionalism of what tools we have in the toolbox here in the Mahoning Valley. I like the collaborative work that we do as a valley rather than just a county, and I think we get further ahead when we work across county borders, and in the Chamber and Port are the bridge for that, for us to do that. You know, what we pay, I don't think is enough compared to what the work that you do. So of course, $45,000, I have no problem with at all. I do, or have heard that Mahoning has invested a little bit more in that, and I think down the road, that's something we need to look at here as we grow, and as you reel in some of these whales that you got the hook in right now. You know, we have to reward that and realize that, we're stepping up from AAA to major leagues in a lot of areas economically. And we just need to be aware of that we have to understand that major league ballpark player salaries are a lot different than the guys in the minors. And, you're leading us into uncharted territory here. And when we say that glass is half full, when you look at the projects the chamber deals with every day, we can absolutely see it's not only half full, but it's overflowing in some areas of that. And we'd be remiss to just ignore it and move on and talk about little things here and there and, $2,000, $10, $50,000 project things or whatever, when we have major economic things going on behind the scenes that, we are gonna reap the benefits from because of the work that you guys are doing. So, it hasn't gone unnoticed by me and Commissioner Cantala Mesa, and that's something that, moving into the future, we can all take pride that we are able to proudly say we are partners with you and we are following your lead in this stuff. I don't claim to be an expert at anything, and when it comes to economics, you guys are the experts, so we defer to you, just like we like to defer to our department heads. You guys do your job, and we just gotta kinda coach you along and monitor things. You know, we don't play the game, we just call the plays. And you guys are out there, scoring touchdowns every week, so. Thank you, Shay, and on behalf of myself as president of the board and Morrow, the majority of the board, you guys are an invaluable asset, and we are very, very fortunate that we're in these economic times with you by our side.
And just to piggyback on that, when I first started, a lot of these organizations and agencies were siloed, and there was not communication between others, there was animosity. I never remember these economic development agencies working together hand in glove like they are right now. It's like the chamber, testament to your leadership and the Port Authority and our planning commission. It wasn't always that way, so I think we're all rowing in the same direction. It's a testament to the leadership of all those agencies, so thank you.
And I was blown away last week. I went to your breakfast. They had 500 people at 7:30 in the morning. And that is something, when you see there and people are, you know, dressed up in their business attire, and they're working and behind, celebrating the Valley the way that they were. And, I mean, even had the coach of YSU on game day, you know, talking about the game they had that night, and it was a true Valley community effort that we should all be proud of. And when I looked around that room, I said, wow, we have massive, massive talent in this county, and they're all out there working. They're not at the commissioner meetings, you know, not everybody listens to what we do, we're just one little facet, one little branch of things. But to know that we're doing what we do, and they're doing what they do, and we're all moving forward in the same direction with a lot of things. If I'm a resident of the county, we're making the decision to stay here and live here and raise your family here a lot easier every single day. So, thank you for that again. Okay, number 19. Award a contract to Boak & Sons for the Trumbull County Planning Commission Building Roof Replacement Project funded through the ARP in the amount of $325,209, for the A1 single-ply EPDM roof system, and authorize Board of Trumbull County Commissioners enter into a contract with Boak & Sons in accordance with local procurement rules and regulations. Who wants to speak on that?
I can just start with the paperwork portion of things. We also did run everything through our prosecutor's office as well as the ARP attorney. So the contract documents have been reviewed extensively and edited, and are in conformance with and ARP. And they'll talk about the technical.
Mike Swansky, Trumbull County Building Official. So in response to the bid, we had 7 members. It was a good response. Our consultant did a good job on vetting those 7 bidders, and many of them were disqualified because of bid irregularities, significant, no bid bonds, things of that nature. Boak was the only one that submitted a complete bid. the number two was, there was some irregularities, but they weren't, it was questionable whether they rose to the level of removing them from the bidding process. So I took I took both and the number two. I didn't rank them all. I just took the two lowest, and I plugged them into our matrix for our construction bid criteria that the commissioners have adopted, that policy. And when you go through and you rank them, Boak was by far the best bidder. Keep in mind, the same company we had in here 2 weeks ago with that change order, so they scored very low on their change order process in history, but they scored very high in everything else because it is a reputable company. So when you put it in the matrix and you crunch the numbers, they were the best bid considered for the project.
And
that's why.
Mike, they're well aware of, we're not gonna have any issues like we have with the Board of Elections as far as materials, what they need, the depth of it and all that stuff. That's not gonna happen again.
We don't, we have a very good idea what's on that roof over there, and we know the condition of that roof. It's a concrete deck on one part, the other part's a wooden deck, so, yeah, I mean, our consultants, that we cored it once, and we went up and cored it again, just to be sure. And so we've got a real good idea of what's under there. It's in a lot better condition, so we shouldn't see the issues that we had at the Board of Elections.
Martha Yoder?
Martha Yoder, Trumbull County Auditor. I'm looking at my handy dandy spreadsheet again, and I noted that we increased, we updated the cost to $430,000 total, and I think that was based on the engineer's estimate of $370, and also included the engineering costs in there that we've already paid, I believe. And so the difference I have is of about $44,791 in price between what we thought the estimate, the engineer's estimate, and what the bid is. My question for you is, do you want me to reserve that in case we have a change order, or do you want me to update my spreadsheet?
I would prefer that you reserve that.
Absolutely.
Because we don't know what's gonna happen around the
Gotcha,
corner.
I understand.
And I'll just say this, so when it was bid, we bid two types of roofing systems. Without getting too technical, we took the cheaper of the two because we needed the roof on and we knew we had some funding constraints. So
Thank you.
that accounts for some of the savings.
All right, and hopefully we'll maybe, when it's all done, we'll have a little
Have a
extra
little bit
to kind of put into the thing, but I wanted to make sure that that my numbers are accurate on my spreadsheet. Thank you.
Yeah, I was just wondering, because even though we're only talking 44,000,
That's,
We
that's
probably
for
have
something later.
7 ARP requests that are under 44,000, we could fulfill, with every dime that we save, we can fulfill another project for township.
Hold it for now, and then we'll see what happens.
Okay, to receive and place on file the monthly report for Trumbull County Tourism Bureau as submitted by Beth Carmichael. Number 21, rescind the journal action dated 9/7/23, to authorize the Board of Trumbull County Commissioners clerk to advertise for sealed bids for the furnishing of all labor, materials, and equipment necessary for and incidental to the renovation of existing building with a roof replacement and asbestos removal for Trumbull County Engineers Garage. And this is where there was some confusion last week as far as,
Yes, Commissioner Bill Hart, Trumbull County Maintenance. As of last week, in discussion with the prosecutor's office downstairs, and my language that I wrote for the agenda item in itself, was an error. And then, so since then, we've discussed with the prosecuting attorney and submitted, what we would like to add is an add-on to the agenda so we can move forward with these projects. So the wording would match the actual legal advertisement of the projects that I need done.
okay, and this came from the prosecutor now with
Yes.
the way he'd like to see it.
Mike Lewis, would like to add?
Yep.
Commissioner, if I may, Mike Slawinski, Trumbull County Building Official. So the journal entries are not accurate in their language because they use the word bid in the journal entry. The legal notice is what gets published in the paper. We're vetted by the prosecutor's office and are correct. To be clear, the agenda is what's wrong. The legal notice is correct and was vetted previously to your voting on it.
Right.
So the issue is the word bid, and it goes back to what we're asking for. So for number 21, this is a design-build project. So we're asking for statements of qualifications from contractors and consultants. And we're gonna design-build it in conjunction and expedite this project and move this project forward on a fast-track system. Whereas in a traditional method, we would have a design, bid, build. So that bid in this journal entry has meaning in the process. And that's the issue the prosecutor had with it, that it showed up in this agenda. Is we're not a design build, or we're design bid build. That word is significant. So we've taken that out, we've modified the language so that the journal entry is accurate, and what we're asking for is that we can advertise for qualifications for these two projects, essentially.
What'll be the next step then?
So then we're gonna get qualifications in. We will then, on the first one, we will rank those qualifications. No matter how many we get. The top three, at that time, we will bring those individuals in, those companies, whatever they may be. It may be because it's a design build, it may be a consultant with a contractor, it may be a contractor with a consultant. One of the two will take the lead, and then we'll sit down and then we'll talk about the project and project costs, project timeline, project specifics. The design-build process gives you much more collaborative effort between the designer and the builder, and because of the nature of the work at the county engineer's garage, we're gonna remove the roof in its entirety. There's gonna be some room for some, imagination on the part of our designer consultant, and they will assume that risk under the design-build process, and then propose that to us as what the best process is, and what the cost of that is gonna be. It's very helpful in eliminating change orders down the road. The design-build firm assumes that responsibility for the design-build.
Basically, everything's happening under one roof.
Under one roof,
The design build,
yeah.
it expedites
It
the,
expedites everything.
Yeah.
That's right. Everything moves forward on a fast track.
And we do want that with both of these projects, as best
Well,
we
the
can.
second project is a traditional project, unfortunately. So that one, on the second project, number 22, we're gonna get qualifications from consultants. We will then rank them. We will then pick the best one. They will then design the project, and then we will bid the project, and then pick the contractor.
Gotcha.
So in the second one, the numbers are predicting who gets the job. On the first one, qualifications predict who gets the job. Some may argue, well, that's more expensive. I will tell you, no, it's not. Look at traditional bidding, and you find out that the design-build actually saves costs for the owner. That's us. And why wouldn't we want that? And it expedites the project. It's a much more collaborative effort on a design-build. That's why it's been more and more prevalent within the construction industry.
been more and more prevalent on large infrastructure projects.
Absolutely.
Okay, and when this happens, Martha, we're on track or whatever, and make sure we have the funding ready to go.
Well,
so-
we're trying to do that. We have to, one of the perils of, having less debt right now, it's kind of like when you have less debt as an individual and getting a credit rating, is we have to get a rating. And there's a program through the state treasurer's office, called OMAP, and we're working through that process right now. We started that process, and actually I was gonna suggest that we need to talk about some numbers that we need for that process. So maybe later this week, we need to sit down.
Well, we will have those. Yeah, Mike Swansky, John Gutson. So with a project, I assume that the county engineer's garage, correct?
Right, well,
So,
both of them we're gonna borrow for, and we really would like to borrow the notes at the same time because the timing is important, but we can work that out.
so then what I would say is that we'll go through this process. So this is a process. And as we get into the process, then we'll have a better idea what our numbers are gonna be from our
Right.
design build
And
contract.
right, and we need to actually work with both the treasurer's office and the auditor of state's office as we're working through this application. So what happened is we had a Moody's rating, and when our debt went down, we lost our Moody's rating. And so through the state, we can get an S&P rating. And so that's what we're working for. It's a program called OMAP, O-M-A-P, and we've already started the application process on that. Christy's been working on it. There's certain things that we have to have within that application. And I think we actually have to have even if we don't have exact numbers within that application, we do need to get some figures from you guys, at least some good estimates for that, but we can talk about that later with Christie and work on that. But we are definitely, it's on our radar and we're working on it.
21 deals with the engineer's garage, 22 deals with the stone building and those. So we'll send those, and then Lisa, you're gonna add these, two right after each of those?
I'll put the, so that they match up. I'll
Yes,
put the-
yep, match them up so we can rescind and then vote so they're in order. Okay, and number 23, grant permission to county engineer to close the roads Mabry and Barclay from September 18 to October 13 for culvert replacement.
Steve Gerber, engineer's office, just a culvert replacement that we're gonna be doing in-house in Gustavus Township.
To approve or deny the Cortland City number 3 bridge to be renamed the Vietnam Memorial Bridge in honor of Private First Class Andrew Senchak Jr. and SP4 Terrence Wink. Both Lakeview graduates were killed in action. We have a public hearing tomorrow at 10 a.m. before that. So I'm sure as public hearing goes, we'll vote on that then afterward. 25, executive session to consider the discipline of one sanitary employee, and then reconvene. And then, deal with that issue on 27. Then back in executive session to consider discipline of one building maintenance employee, and then reconvene, and then, deal with that issue, finally at number 30. Okay, that concludes the pre-scheduled agenda. Lisa will go ahead and add those two, regarding the garage and stone building. Is there, anything for the good of Trumbull County from any of our department heads? Bill, Art, Steve?
Commissioners, Bill Hart, Trumbull County Maintenance. I have two things. One, it's not a change order, but it's an add-on for our Trumbull County Law Library in the basement. We had a, insurance claim of $35,000 that was a wash with the construction company that's doing the project. So they agreed to do it for the price of the insurance claim, so it costs us $0, but there is a section of carpeting that I'd like to add into the mix. It's $6,000 that wasn't included into the insurance claim. So if we can make that happen, and I could just make that whole downstairs, when you walk down the stairs into the law library of the, Bar Association, presentable. And, Billy Green, the director of the Maintenance Commission, is asking maintenance to get quotes and prices for new carpeting since we had insurance flood issues up there when the roof, fell on the rubber. So permission to move forward with those two as well.
Yes.
Yes.
One more, if you haven't noticed, the track hose and everything's outside the Ween building, they're doing some gutting right now. I saved the Ween monumental stone that was in front, and I also saved, which could have been a, what's it called, you bury something? A time capsule was buried in the cornerstone of the date, but it was broke when they put it in, and they didn't do anything with it to preserve anything that would have been in there if they did. So there's nothing there, but we do have the date, 1941, and the big monumental statue shield that will be in the North Park Park. And that's all I
What's
have.
the name of it?
How about squared, North Park squared?
Yeah.
Okay, Martha?
All right, before I get to the ARPA, I do wanna just, make a note for people, especially those of us that work downtown, because we may want to attend this. On Friday, at noon, outside the Veterans Memorial, right here downtown, there will be, the Veterans Resource Center will be presenting the laying of the roses in remembrance of the POW and MIA. So if you work downtown, that's a good way maybe to spend your life, or spend your lunch thinking about, those who sacrificed for us.
If it's okay, I would like to ask the commissioners, if you could forward me that information, I could send that out globally and do what we did, just ask that you're on your breaks during that time if you wish to go.
All right, I will do that this
Thank you.
afternoon, okay? All right, now to ARPA, where we're at right now is, you have a revised spreadsheet in front of you with the allocations, with the change order approved last week. So that's for the family court boiler and chiller adjustment made. Does not sound like we have any adjustments for next week unless something comes up in between. So this will stand, for now, at least, as you start to begin, over the next couple of weeks and decide how you're gonna spend the remaining money. Mr. Masaki and I are still reviewing some of the locations, on the current pending request spreadsheet. So I don't have a new pending request spreadsheet. We felt like the deadline is coming up so soon on Friday that we would just present, hopefully we'll have it together for you guys next week, so you guys can start your process and decide what you want to do, how you want to do that process, what you want to do going forward. And what we've been doing right now is adding the locations, and of course, I suspect that we will get, a slight little flurry here, at the end of people, putting things through, on the website. But it does, just as a reminder to the public, it does end, Friday, for now. Maybe Mr. Masaki has more? Okay.
Yeah, we did, a few people checking in to see if their, stuff was submitted. I did, reach out to Fowler Township regarding their one that they submitted and didn't do it online. Did they submit it online yet? You still haven't seen it yet? Okay, I'll make another phone call there. Bristol had asked me about, their request yesterday, and that's something Martha will check on today.
Yeah, we'll look at it this afternoon, yeah.
To make sure that they are in the portal. And any other townships, we're getting down to the end of it, you got a couple of days to get your requests in, please do. I urge, Ray, through the paper, I urge the townships to please get their requests in by September 15th. Unfortunately, there are some townships that have not submitted anything, and I know they're gonna say afterward they didn't hear, they didn't know, they didn't have the right paperwork, they didn't know how to do it. All they need to do is get on the portal. If they have a question, they can call, and, Mr. Masaki will walk them through it. So, if this hits the paper tomorrow, then they got tomorrow night and Friday all day to get it done. So, we urge them, please don't miss that deadline. We'll have a clearer picture of all the requests that are pending after Friday, and then next Tuesday's workshop, we can plan our meeting to go over this stuff, so that we can start getting the checks rolling and getting the rest of this money allocated to where it needs to go. Bill Hart, basement, anything on the wall where it was leaking?
Yeah, they're digging out there now, so.
Okay.
Dig down as far as they can.
We're looking at end of the month opening, they're ready to go with AVI with the cafeteria or the marketplace,
Do you know when the other vending machines are coming out?
soon.
Thank you.
They'll be out before the other ones come in. We also are looking at, contracting with, Rick Muccio, who does the political cartoons in the newspaper.
You got my text message?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a meeting with him to design our signage, when you head into the cafeteria. It's something we can have him do up, and we'll put it on a big piece of vinyl, put it on a piece of plexiglass, and hang it, in the cafeteria. And, that'll be kinda cool. I said I didn't want anyone's faces, there's not gonna be a caricature of me or Morrow or
Oh.
Mr.
So
Frenchco or,
disappointed.
you know, Although he did do a pretty good Frank, you know, we aren't gonna break Frank out of the archives or more the other.
I actually like his of mine, to be honest with you. He's done me, and it's the big smile, and
Yeah.
it's like, I love it. But that's not what was the issue with the internet resolved with, Mr. Hannaford yet, between
Bill?
AVI and,
Pardon me?
AVI and Mr. Hannaford?
I sent him
The contact information?
contact, not only that, but the IP addresses that he is going to require to
Okay,
make
okay.
their.
I just hadn't touched base with him on it, and since the
I
subject
talked to
came
him
up.
this morning around 8 o'clock, he called me, so I had it sitting on my computer, but I never forwarded, so it's sitting as a draft.
Oh, I love that, thank you.
So we're gonna need to revisit the furniture thing too, 'cause the bids came back from Gasser Chair and just way too expensive, way too expensive,
You
so.
wanna sit down, Commissioner, and we'll go through.
That's what we need to do now, is figure out the furniture and a budget with that, to make sure we get decent furniture that matches and all the hodgepodge stuff that we had at the best rate that we can. The other thing we had is, Kimmer Wolfinger from the Tourism Bureau. She's been over there, took measurements for the pictures, they're gonna provide those from the Tourism Bureau, to hang on the walls, and, we've also got Shara doing a purchase order for a television set, where we can play whatever they play in the jail, you know, preferably news things, and we'll do some loops of, attractions in Trumbull County that Tourism Bureau will provide us,
No,
and,
not
it'll be something interesting.
One more.
No, mine's a different subject, so go on.
Commissioners, one more, Teresa says, I reached out to, I think it's Tom Hart, is his name, no relation, for a surveying cost. He gave me an initial cost of $2,800 to do some sightseeing and some surveying. I talked to him the other day, so I purchased him the purchase order, so we got him moving on that. He won't start until like mid-October, when the leaves start to fall, because he really can't see the footage from aerial views that he would have. There will be another cost he mentioned to me, but I don't know what that cost is gonna be in clearing out, or he needs to clear out for the property. And
Where are you talking about?
Dog pound.
Dog pound,
Okay,
yeah.
Dog pound property. So,
The
it's
3
gonna be
acres out
about
there.
3 acres, yes.
And that Hart is not related to you, just so.
No relation,
But he is a
Just so
very
we
good
know.
surveyor.
yeah.
And that's why it's taking so long to retain him.
And surprisingly, when I got the names from the, tax map,
Well,
he told me that, you know, don't be patient,
Oh.
they're very busy, but he called me the next day, so.
Okay, also I had,
Hard to get.
I had a couple phone calls with, the health department, and, you know, they are moving forward with the building in Cortland. They're hoping to close the deal, I think it was this week, to sign the paperwork, and, it's the old bank building in Cortland. They're gonna utilize the first floor and the basement. The second floor, we had our staff from 911 look at it, and they love it, they want it. They're in the process now of getting the logistics with the state as far as the tower, to see if the cell tower frequencies are good enough there, or if it's high enough, and to make sure they're able to contact every department, but I guess people from Leeds and stuff come out and do that, and from the state, and they tell them if that's a hospitable environment or not. They would have their own entrance, they'd use the upstairs, and the most important thing about it is, it would be free to the county. The health department is buying the building, they offered us the second floor for free. We would have, instead of buying a new building, instead of leasing a new building, they want us to, handle our maintenance of our floor, and we'd have to do the remodel and moving in and all the other costs that go along with that. But, we'd looked at some other buildings through the Port Authority that we could buy from them, revamped. This is something that, as of right now, is kind of the lead candidate then, I would say, for 911. And, the workers seem to be happy with that, rather than going down to Pine Avenue. And, I think it's a good deal. They also said they will have some office space additional left over, that if we did wanna move, senior levy services or any other department looking for a home, they would have a little bit more space than what they need on the first floor. And then they do have a break room in the basement that's big, that they could share with 911. That would be the only shared space, would be the kitchen. They would also have room for a little something upstairs, so 911 have their own space for microwave, things like that. But if they wanted a full kitchen atmosphere, they'll have that in the basement of this building. So, plenty of parking, centrally located in the county, for all the police departments that have to come into 911. And with the health department, it's a great fit, it's servicing their customers where they live. You know, septic permits, most of those are in the northern part of the county, they deal with the health department. Again, they do service nobody in the city of Warren, so it isn't like the people in Warren can't be serviced by them, they don't service people in Warren anyway. Warren has their own health department. So, it's kind of a win-win all the way around. That was one of the things that, when I got here, we said, we need a health department, we need a dog pound, and we need a 911. And right now, we're on our way to all three. And so the first 7, 8 months that I've been here, working with Commissioner Canham Lacey, we've been able to make major progress towards that, the new cafeteria in the basement, all the things going on with sanitary, the projects there, the Arpa funds. So again, that glass half full thing, you know, I'm sticking with it, you know, because we're moving forward in a very positive way here in the county.
So I am going to send, Casey the specs on our generator. The new generator's here. Bechtel Electric is storing it in a bin locked up because it's here, but we don't want to stick it somewhere where we don't have to take it, move it again. So, I will send her the kilowatts, so in her feasibility study, she can incorporate the generator wattage into her, so whatever they need to back up, they know what power they have for the backup generator.
Well, Bill, one of the things on your plate now too, I think I gotta add, since you got so much free time, is, you know, we are gonna have to figure out what we're gonna do with the old 911 center if we get to that point, and long-term plan, and what we're gonna do with the old health department, and with the old, dog pound.
One of the things I think with the health department, and I've talked to, coroner and some of the coroner staff on this, they'd like to look at that building. That could be, especially the money we put into the basement of the health department, that could be something that they could definitely utilize. I know it's bigger for them, but, you can do that as long as storage, and you wouldn't be leaving anything.
So our Trumbull County Maintenance, I just talked to Jan this morning about it.
Yeah.
She called about getting her ducts cleaned over there.
Yeah.
With the furnace they have, and I mentioned it to her again, since they are moving out. If you're interested, you know, we could revamp the inside downstairs first floor, whatever, you know, that'd be suitable for the coroner's office, and she would reach out to the doctor, cause, you know, just keep him in the loop, and, you know, he's somewhat interested, I was told, but just to make sure that we're all in that.
I think you'd wanna look at it, so that's a start.
Yeah, that's a start. So, and as far as the 911 center, the old one, we could give it back to the hospital, that'd be more feasible. If we can't give it back to the hospital, I still need to spend, the Trumbull County still needs to spend $85,000 to disconnect the sub-feed coming from Hillside that feeds that building. In violation right now, I had a number done, a little while ago in the spring about cutting the cord, per se, since we are piggybacking off on the Hillside Hospital. But if it's their building again, like it was in the very beginning of all of Trumbull County until we sold the hospital, we don't have to pay that $85,000. But we have to pay $85,000 to get rid of the power and get our own, just to keep it there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Martha?
All right, I now have two things because I kept talking. So the feasibility study, are we still looking at doing that feasibility study for more than one location, just to kind of have a backup?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to verify that. So then the other thing with ARPA related, Mr. Masaki reminded me that, as we award these awards, each applicant needs to have what's called a unique entity ID, and that's required for the award, but if they're applying and they don't already have one of those, they probably should start that process. If they have questions, we'll try to help them, get through that process. I think that many of the local governments already have that, is what it sounds like. But they do need to have that in order to actually get an award. We have to have that on file. It's called a unique entity ID. And I will tell you that, like Ms. Grover went through and applied for it by herself, so it's a workable, not that, she's very intelligent, don't get me wrong, but it's a workable process. It's something people can do on their own, these smaller nonprofits. But we'll help as much as we can in getting them they do need to have that. That's one of those requirements. Okay?
I'm gonna make a comment too, that, I wanna congratulate and salute the Warren Heritage Center, Warren Junior Women's League. Yesterday, they had their 11th annual gala at the Kinsman House, and it was attended by all three of the commissioners, and, they put on a really, really good event, really, honorable event. Everybody there had a great time, and it was a nice mix of the community. If you haven't seen the Kinsman House in Warren, it's quite the place, you know, with the historic value, so for history buffs, you need to get down there and take a tour and see what they have. I know we have the Farm Bureau's annual meeting tomorrow, and, we have, the Chamber of Commerce breakfast, which I'll be speaking on Thursday morning, and, we have the EMA's annual, meeting, that is Thursday morning also, that, Commissioner, if you're able to attend that, I don't know what your schedule is Thursday morning, but I'll be held up at the breakfast a little bit, and, this is kind of important. They're scheduled to be about an hour and a half, because they have a lot on the agenda, and we really should have some commissioner participation there if we could. I'll go after, but, if that's on your schedule, can you please check that? Anything else for the good of the county?
Yeah, Gary Newbrow, sanitary engineer. Commissioners, late yesterday afternoon, the Ohio EPA contacted me through this email. I forwarded it over to your attention. But in order for us to receive principal forgiveness on water projects in the future, commissioners are required to take a couple training courses. So one of them is called Utility Management for Local Officials, the other one is Financial Management for Local Officials. They're each about an hour and a half apiece, and you can do them online, and I'm going to get more into the details of what I put together, you know, procedures for you to be able to sit down at the computer and go through this thing and get it done.
Okay.
So.
If you could, Gary, do a cheat sheet for us on that,
That's
and
exactly
then
what I'm
please put a deadline on there too.
And
so that we know what
I
the
wrote.
deadline is, so we don't mess anything up and jeopardize the county losing any money.
Yeah, well, as a matter of fact, the one hanging out there is our $2.5 million of principal forgiveness for that water regionalization project on state road, so, yeah. And that's exactly what I wrote here. I'll put together instructions, complete the training, and determine a deadline for the completion, so.
Yeah.
All right?
And I would give a deadline, and then another deadline, and then a third deadline, so everybody knows exactly, you know, we don't wanna miss that,
All right,
and give
well-
some options, so there's no excuses for any of us to not take it.
All right, well, it has to be the majority of the board, so at least two of you have to take it.
Okay.
One other thing I had was, here's the map of Heat and Shoot, they're gonna be paving on this next week. Let's see here, we got Main Street over here. County's doing repaving all the green sections. Township is paying the contractor to do all the black sections. Steve Niles even chipped in to do this, so they're getting all new sanitary sewers, all new roads. That's, outstanding. But to get all those roads, it only cost us the project an extra $19,000, so.
I think,
Yes.
I think that was one of the first unanimous projects we ever had by everybody there. I mean, I don't think anybody disagreed with the project.
Right.
Project.
I remember Overland and Elm Road, I don't know if that was before your time, but we had 100% on that one too. Yeah, but that's rare, but Heat and Shoot, not everybody there was behind the project, we haven't had any complaints since it started, it's all going great, so.
Okay, Julie Green.
I handed you the tally thus far of the survey results for the large solar and wind facilities, and wanted the commissioners to just maybe think about what your next steps are. So the process was detailed in an opinion that was shared with me, that you approved to be shared with me by the prosecutor's office, to move forward with these restrictions at the township level. And so, you know, the commissioners can restrict, 5 and then go back later and change it. But if you wanted to initiate the process now, which I believe that's the, request of some of the townships, you're able to do that. You just need to identify which townships you wanna start with now, in terms
Julie,
of
can
that
you
process.
explain this, what the difference between all or none is on here?
Sure. So and I forgot my glasses, so. The very first question we asked them, do they wanna designate all, none, or part of the township's land as a restricted area, prohibiting wind farms? The second one is large wind farms, because that's how they're defined in ORC, and the third one is large solar. So, where it says all, that means they want you to restrict it. Where it says none, they don't want you to. So based on that, you can, look at this. It looks like Gustavus, Hartford, Weathersfield, Mecca, Bezetta, Bristol, and Nesbo all have some interest in the commissioners moving forward with, and obviously Vienna too, with restricting any sort of large facilities in their townships.
I'm surprised at the amount of none, that there's, I would think that they'd all be all, or the majority of them, would.
You know, and the thing that gets me too is there's individual votes on here,
Right.
but not votes on base of the township. You have individual trustees.
We provided them with a, an email follow-up that stated that the township trustees are encouraged to meet at a public meeting to discuss it and pass a formal resolution asking that the commissioners move forward with it. Because that would be, you know,
And there's some
compliant.
instances here, like Gustavus, where trustee McNeely said all, and trustee Bonar said none. And then there's a third trustee who
Correct.
didn't weigh in yet, who had called.
Correct.
So there's a split there where kinda need to pin down a little bit more what the majority of the trustees want.
Well, you can initiate the process and have the public meeting, and they can decide at the public meeting, or you can require that they all pass a resolution by a certain date. It's just something that's,
That's probably the easiest thing, right?
Well, Julie,
well, I've already
who would we
asked
bring
them.
in to,
I haven't gotten anything yet.
who would we bring in to talk about this? Is there somebody statewide that is
We can
an
reach out.
authority on this?
We can reach out to the individuals who provided the workshop for the Northeast Ohio Planning and Zoning and see if they're available to discuss it. You know, our prosecutor's office is knowledgeable of the process. They've already given a written description of what the process is that you have to follow in-house. I do think that there is a lot of confusion still surrounding what constitutes a large solar farm versus a small. And who has the authority to regulate each, as we discussed this morning at our planning commission.
How do we address that? How do we educate that? I mean, a lot of these townships don't wanna have any sort of meeting.
Well, we personally work with our townships to, give them best practice zoning resolutions for their zoning, but that only captures the townships that have zoning. So there are 4 that do not have zoning. And, another topic was brought up this morning that I'm not really sure is even related, or how it's related to the topic, but Nick had printed out a couple, OPSB news releases surrounding another topic that has arisen that I think is probably more of a legal matter than it is zoning or, you know, under the commissioner's authority.
So, Nick Coggins, Planning Commission. This first one from the Ohio Public Setting Board, was just a notice of adoption of new rules for the solar energy. And the updated rules touch on all areas of the OPSB jurisdiction, so small and large solar farms. But they, adopted a public information where they are required to have 2 public hearings before applying for any OPSB, application for a solar farm. They adopted drainage management, vegetation management, noise limitations, surface water protection, fencing, setbacks. These are all things that OPSB adopted as requirements, and on top of any additional zoning or commissioner adoption. Even if you're allowing large solar farms, they must adhere to this OPSB, dual public hearing, one describing the scope of the project, and held at least 90 days before filing an application. And the second one, for more comments, they must adhere to having, stormwater management practices, vegetation
That
practices.
covers under,
It covers a lot of things that would have to be in their application.
Nick, does that cover under 50 megawatts?
It says the updated rules touch, on all areas of OPSB jurisdiction.
Okay, so that would be the over 50.
So, yeah.
And that's the problem, is under 50 is under the jurisdiction of township zoning. So where there is no zoning, it's going to be an issue. And we explained that when we met with, I think it was maybe it was Vernon. So, Gustavus has zoning, but yeah, when we met with Vernon and Mecca, we explained, and Mesopotamia, that could be a potential problem. Brookfield also, yeah.
I brought it up at the planning commission today, I received a call from a trustee up north, said they did have one of their farmers was trying to contract 500 acres into this right now, and they're working on the township level, at the same time, there's a problem with the grid itself, them not qualifying because of, tier 3, is that what they call it, or phase 3?
I'm not an electrical.
Something about where they can make the power, but there's nowhere to transmit it and get it anywhere. And they didn't have that in Gustavus where this was. So they're asking for our help, at least as trustee, to do something before it gets out of hand, and then we have these farmers in contracts that they can't do, and, you know, it getting ugly, so.
Commissioner Mike Slawinski could probably speak on that. He's the expert.
I think what they're referring to is the facilities to transmit the power to market.
Yes.
And the markets are elsewhere, so, you know, long distance transmission lines.
Yes. Something there, they had 1 and 2, but they didn't have a 3, or whatever it was that was needed to,
If the information
To send
relayed
the
was
power.
accurate, yes.
And while I have the floor, I'll just tell you this, when you talk about the power setting board, that entity is exempt from building code compliance. So Lordstown is a sub-department under the county's building code enforcement, so we issue permits for Lordstown Village. We did not issue permits for those power plants. Those are issued by the power setting board, exempt from building code compliance. Remember that.
Yeah. Another issue. So, in terms of action steps, I'm just asking the commissioners, what is it that you would like the planning commission to, act on? We've reached out to these entities, we gave them a deadline of September 18th to respond, but is this enough information for you to move forward, or are you requiring a resolution, a formal resolution from each one before you're willing to even initiate the public hearing process for this restriction?
Do you recommend it?
I mean,
can we,
it's hard, I think you've given a lot of, I think you've given them ample time to
Right.
review and discuss it. I don't see why they couldn't.
can we do a moratorium on it, where we have a temporary hold on any of it pending, having a hearing and getting the feedback?
You would have to do the process according to Ohio Revised Code. You'd still have to go through the process in order to restrict these areas. So, it's a matter of, do you wanna wait until you get an official resolution, or from each township, which could take upwards of 2 more months?
Right.
Or do you wanna move forward with the ones that you know for sure want you to restrict their entire township?
And then we can amend,
You can amend it,
yeah,
yes.
let's just start with that. Ones that don't want it.
Well, I don't know, do we have a full survey of ones we don't want it, 'cause we have, like I said, Gustavus,
We do.
we got 1 yes, 1 no. We've got some that are definitely no.
Yeah, we
Some are
can,
definitely yes.
yeah, we have, some townships that don't want it for sure. The ones
We'll
that
start
we
with
don't,
those.
yeah, we can start with those, or we could even reach out to the ones that have responded and just say, here's the deadline for submitting a resolution. If you don't submit it by this date, you won't be included in the first phase.
I like that route, I like that idea there.
Yeah.
And let's look for a speaker where we can have an educational thing with this. I think a lot of them are
Most of them have
misled on
said
the
no.
facts and maybe not up to date on the facts. We're not even all the way there on all the facts yet, so I can imagine there's some trustees out there that,
Yeah, I'm willing to do that, but most of them have said they don't want it.
I don't want an educational workshop.
Right, that's what the problem is, it's
I'm
like
just,
a majority of them, that's
I'm
what I don't
not,
understand.
I'm not disagreeing, however, I'm just
I
letting
don't
you
wanna put
know,
something on and nobody comes though.
I'm just letting you know that that was one question asked, and the majority have said they do not want it. But we're still willing to move forward if that's your preference, we can do that.
No, let's start with acting on the ones that don't,
Mm-hmm.
and that news may spread to the other townships all of a sudden, like, whoa, we gotta do something here, they're doing stuff.
I agree.
And I think the ones that aren't educated will bring themselves up to speed real quick.
Right.
The first time we go against it in a couple areas, that'll make the necessity be now.
And I don't know if your office needs to do anything, because it is a process, a legal process in your office, and I wanted to make sure that Lisa had the legal opinion from, it was Bill Danzo, maybe Jason, would have that. It was issued in June, I wanna say,
Yeah. You'll
We'll
have
call
it.
down there and get it.
Yeah.
yeah.
And we
Because
definitely
it's a very
we wanna do this step by step
yeah.
exactly the way we have to.
Right.
Because I guess, like I brought up in the earlier meeting, when there's a farm with 500 acres, that there is the potential of economic,
Yeah,
suits or anything like that, challenging whatever we do here when there's that kind of money on the line.
right.
We wanna make sure we're in accordance with everything.
And then the other, item I wanted to speak on, this is Julie Green, is I did reach out to, Tom Wilson, because I learned that the planning commission was named as the entity with the commissioners for educational highway. Must have missed that somehow last November. But in any case, I did speak with him briefly, and I'm awaiting his return call. I can follow up with him again, next week. I'm sure he's got a busy schedule of items. I don't know how quickly you want me to, follow up on that, but I did reach out to him. He said he'd get back to me. That was,
Spoke to him.
about 10 days ago?
Yeah, I did speak to him, and he was under the impression that a lot of the parties, since the project was put on hold, that a lot of the parties weren't willing to move forward with this, and I told him just the opposite.
Yeah.
So he was having a lot of issues reaching out to the different attorneys and the different entities, but we still want it done, move forward, I left it.
I agree, we need to get something done with that for whatever comes up next, whether it be this hospital project or the next thing. This is something apparently that's been dragging on for many, many years. The county engineers told me there's an easy solution, so let's find what that solution is. You know, he said that it's something that past boards, all the way back didn't do correctly, and now let's rectify it and do whatever we gotta do now to clear that up. That is an important area of the county that,
Yeah, it's my understanding that and this may be changed, but the commissioners would like the planning commission's assistance in getting the educational highway statutorily approved according to
Correct.
5553. Or I might be citing the wrong revised code. But that's the plan, correct?
to get it in the proper hands, under the proper authority, so that we can
Okay.
make the proper moves from here.
I think some of the questions that came up was, once that's done, will it be a township road versus a county road? It's my understanding that it's a county road currently,
Right.
and that it will remain a county road, if that's the will of the commissioners.
We're collecting the gas tax on the road, correct? I mean, are we not?
I believe that's what the legal opinion was.
This is just more of a formality to make sure that we adopt it officially as a county road, dedicated to it.
And just one more, and I don't have the details on this, just from what I'm gathered, is the, the potential for needing funding to bring it up to county standards, for existing or future development.
Can you reach out to Randy Smith also, and he seemed to be the authority on it when he was trying to educate me on it, and see what he has to offer with this?
Yeah, we have tried that in the past, and I believe that was the purpose for having two legal entities.
I mean, if there's development out there, on the part of the commissioners and the project, and and it is on hold, it's not shut down,
Correct.
it's on hold. If and when that happens, the commissioners will exhaust every option to make sure that the road is ready for
Correct.
that sort of investment, so
Yeah, and you've said that in the past.
I have, and I remain steadfast to that.
Right, right. Yeah, so we'll continue to get to that point, and I'll reach out again to the county engineer's office to see what it is exactly that we need to do
And again, Mr.
to
Wilson
satisfy their,
indicated to me that he's pursuing this and he's getting the parties together. He had indicated when he talked to Champion Township's attorney and perhaps the engineer's attorney, that it wasn't happening anymore, but the commissioners wanna pursue this, even though the project is on hold.
he definitely needs to include us.
And you guys.
Wasn't aware of it, that's
So,
what I mean.
I guess you have the authority to call them and get involved in
I
it.
did,
Well, you're named
did
on the,
call him.
you're named on
Yes.
the journal entry.
yes, I did call him, and I did speak with him. I haven't heard back from him, so I
I will
can call him again.
I'm gonna call him again.
Okay.
Thank you.
Alexandra.
Alexandra Bush, Human Resources. The biggest thing that I wanted to talk about today or bring up was that COVID has not, gone away. It's actually infiltrated a couple of our departments. If you're one of the people that I'm talking to, you know, but it got to a point today where we almost didn't have enough employees to run the dog pound. So I'm not gonna go into all that here. But what I need to stress is I sent something out last week, because it's been a while since we've had to deal with COVID. Department heads, I need you to all to understand it's 5 days off, and then when they return, the CDC still recommends 5 days additionally with a mask when you return. We can't mandate that, but that's what's recommended. However, there's been some questions of, well, do we need to give them the 5 days off? Yes, you do, unless you want to take your department out with COVID, which I wouldn't recommend. So let's please just remember, be mindful of that. And also I advocate for, when it comes to COVID, it should not necessarily be an occurrence for sick time off. So I wanted to stress that here. Obviously, if people have COVID, we don't want them coming to work to give that to other people. So I wanted to bring that up. And also communication. Please make sure, you know, especially if you're a department head who's calling off with COVID, or you have multiple people off with COVID, please say something. Call me, let the commissioners know, just let us know, so we're not looking for you or concerned that something's going on that we don't know about.
Do we have any special protocol if we get a 911 dispatcher pops positive for COVID? Do we clean the workstation?
That is one of the,
We have-
yeah.
We have disinfectant wipes, COVID wipes down there, they have their own Lysol sprays, they have their own, we wipe down.
Oh, I know they have their own, but do we notify our maintenance and janitorial staff that someone in this department or this office, this person has it, so
They should.
they could do doorknobs, do other things
They
maybe
should.
that they wouldn't normally do?
Yeah, they should, actually, Barb Bingle, Bill Hartman, there's still, Barb Bingle and I have COVID. So it was reached out to me by Karen Allen to do an extra cleaning, extra spray at nighttime, so things were wiped down. We gave them COVID wipes to wipe their own stuff down. I mean, we can't stand there and wait for the customer to go by to wipe it.
No,
Well,
no.
we still have that female in the department that goes
Yeah,
down.
that's,
there.
those are things.
Yeah, we do during the day shift,
I can't
yeah.
remember her name, I'm sorry.
Christina, yeah, she
Christina.
wipes down the knobs and does all
She
that.
wipes the elevator
Yep.
buttons, all this stuff down,
Yeah.
but again, once you wipe it down, you touch it again, it's,
Yeah.
you know, you can't.
So,
We do have the machines in the
Right.
elevator.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
I mean, we're not trying to scare anybody, we're just trying to make sure that we haven't lost track of that, because unfortunately, some of our departments here do operate on a very small staff, so we cannot afford for 5 people to be taking.
Like
Yeah.
911,
Correct,
dog pound,
correct.
things like that, if you get an outbreak there.
And communication is key. I think that it's just been so long since we've had to deal with it. Make sure you let us know, and HR will absolutely, even if I'll reach out to Bill in a heartbeat and say, let's get the electrostatic foggers out again. We had those. We purchased those for COVID. Maybe we just need to kinda, you know.
Just as like a PSA for everybody too, the vaccine's covered under our healthcare, if they wanna get vaccinated.
Yeah, well, they were free no matter what. So, yeah, so that's good. If you still feel that you wanna go back and get
All
boosted,
that's covered and,
Yep.
no, all right.
absolutely. Yeah, so not trying to scare anybody, just making sure that we're, you know, we know that it has come back around, so,
Yeah.
all right?
I wanted to say it, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Something more about that topic, Julie Green. I know we have a small staff, but I would like to say that we should be encouraging anybody who exhibits any sort of contagion Doesn't
Sure.
necessarily have to be COVID to stay home, because we don't wanna be spreading illness. And it's written into our policy
It is.
and procedures
Yep.
manual at the planning commission as well as the county level.
Mhm.
You don't wanna be spreading things like, shingles
Sure.
or
The flu.
pink
Yeah,
eye, the
absolutely.
flu, any virus.
Absolutely.
So that's just something to, because a lot of people don't even realize they have COVID.
Right,
Many have no symptoms,
right,
many have symptoms that mimic allergies.
yep.
And so if you have anything like that, you should proceed with caution.
Right, even stomach issues, that's a good point. So it keeps evolving. But to your point, that's why I wanted to stress here today,
Yeah.
at least, and I hopefully department heads go listen. We don't wanna hold, that we have a lot of occurrences baked into our policies, right? So if you call off sick, you get an occurrence. If somebody has COVID, if somebody has a flu, they can justifiably, I mean, we don't want that here. Why would we want that here? So I've seen it single-handedly almost take out an entire department at this point. So let's not do that. Because then our option is that we have nobody to run a department, and I'll have to go, I was about to actually leave here and drive over there, but we actually got a call back, so things are okay. There's at least somebody there, so I was about to go man the dog pound myself, so, and I would have done it too, but, yeah, so let's just make sure we keep everybody updated. While I was wanted to talk about something positive, but first I just wanna remind everybody, October is gonna be an FMLA training. I highly encourage department heads, I encourage everybody to come to that. We're having a lot of questions about FMLA certifications. I think now that HR is here, it's like everybody's bombarding with, holy cow, I didn't know that, or I need to know that. Totally cool. Just attend the trainings. Hopefully we can educate everybody on the process, what you are allowed to say, what you aren't allowed to say. That's a federal labor law, so we don't wanna mess with that. So that's gonna be coming October. I haven't set a date yet for that. I'm waiting to just make sure I have all my PowerPoints together. So probably towards the end of October. And then in November, we have mandatory Corsa harassment training, that was sent out a while ago. I'll send that out again to reiterate that. Now that is something that will help reduce our premiums. So I am yet again stressing to everybody, please come to this training. And then lastly, to talk about something positive, JFS had gotten a food truck last Friday. They asked to partner up with county HR, we sent it out. And I just want to thank them, because we had people come from maintenance department on their lunchtime, we had EMA directors, we had people come out of the woodworks to come partake in this. And I think it speaks magnitude to, the glass is half full here, it's not half empty. We're still trying to do things, you know, summer's almost over, but we're gonna continue to think outside of the box and try to boost morale for employees. So, thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, one last thing, I apologize. The journal clerk, there's 67 applications, so I'm screening those right now. Yes, yeah. So, is that good or bad? I don't know.
That's a lot.
Well, we had 341 the first time.
That's a lot.
So, yeah, that's just a day in the life of HR. But yeah, so I'm screening those right now, and hopefully we will get to a place where we have a couple to interview. Lisa and myself, will be interviewing, so we can get that journal clerk position moving, so.
What about the position in HR?
I have that almost done, so I'm in the process of talking about background tests and drug screen, and then I will bring it to you guys once I know everything's clear.
911?
911, well, I was hoping that we'd have 4 on this week, but we don't. So obviously, we don't bring anything to you guys till it's fully baked, meaning we have all the background checks done and all the screenings. So we're still waiting on 2 of those to come in. So we don't wanna I don't ever like to bring 2 in. I want them all to start together, especially at somewhere like 911. I think it builds camaraderie if you have 4 start together, potentially 5. So we're hoping to have 4 or 5 for next week. That's my goal.
Great, fantastic.
Yep.
Okay, anything else?
I'm not.
Okay, with that,
I know, Joey, you're preaching to the choir here.
I'm not. Cancel Mesa.
Yes.
Malloy.
yes.